As was mentioned, I'm Cassandre Alvarado from the University of Texas at Austin. We have about 5 minutes each to tell you about all of the unexpected benefits and changes from MAAPS. And let me tell you that at UT Austin, we were really excited about the opportunity to use the MAAPS grant as an opportunity to try out and test some new things. Not just what was part of the study, but to really use this as, shall we say, breathing room, to take stock of what was happening in academic advising on campus, to listen to the voices of our academic advisors, and to look deliberately and strategically about what we might learn from implementing MAAPS in order to improve advising on campus. And so there are two major areas of focus for our tests, so to speak. One was in the area of the degree mapping, and the other was in the area of data management and using other tools like texting. And so I just want to very briefly highlight a couple of those. As you've heard from the study, we were responsible for mapping every single degree in the university. And that project had never actually been done on our campus before. And taking the time to really map out every single degree gave voice to some things that many advisors had been saying for a really long time, but we never had the data to quantify it. That our degrees are complex, we have a ton of hidden curriculum, and that the success of students in progressing through their degrees, particularly in a timely manner, really depends on the quality of the advisor's background knowledge about double and triple dipping, about the toxic combinations. And not all of that has been documented or shared or written down. So some students who benefit from having a more seasoned advisor would get warnings and cautions about that. Some students who'd have a brand new advisor wouldn't necessarily know, or the brand new advisor wouldn't remember that that course is only offered in odd numbered spring semesters, right? And when you remember that and document it in the process of doing your MAAPS, you realize there's a lot of stuff to keep track of, and that we don't necessarily do a great job of sharing that information across campus. The degree maps that we used for the study were large, complex Excel spreadsheets. They weren't awesome, but our team developed a series of maps that they used in every single conversation with students. And by using the degree map in every single conversation with their MAP students, what they actually did is create more room for the kind of advising that our advisors across campus have been begging for and pleading for. High caliber, high quality conversations with students about their lives, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, and not just what should I take next. It actually gave us more room for high quality advising relationships by referring to the map at every session, because sometimes the map had changed, sometimes the map hadn't changed, but students knew to count on a quick review of where they were, where their courses were in their plan, and how they were doing. So for a lot of the, shall we say, hand-wringing and teeth-gnashing that went along on our campus with the idea of mapping out every degree, we actually created more space and bandwidth for high-quality academic advising. The enthusiasm for the MAPS was so great, and as Tim has kind of already referred to, that our campus was eager to jump in and start changing business as usual. They absolutely wanted to take and incorporate the lessons we learned from mapping all of our degree plans for the study into practice. And now we have a campus-wide effort to standardize degree plan formats. That may seem really minor, but when we're talking about 180 undergraduate degrees with 90 minor combinations, that's a lot of mapping to be done. And to standardize it so that students know and can expect from college to college, from major to major, from program to program, what that might look like, is a huge undertaking for an institution as large and complex as UT Austin. So we're really excited about the fact that mapping the degree plans really changed the campus culture around using and talking about a 4-year plan at every single advising interaction. The other piece is related to our data. And we're really proud of the work that we did with our data. In fact, UT Austin won the National Academic Advising Association Outstanding Use of Technology in Advising Award for our work on the MAAPS grant specifically. We developed, as other campuses have, Purdue and others, a series of Tableau dashboards to visualize for the advisors in the MAAPS grant the data points that they needed access to in order to strategically advise the students in the MAP grant. This was one of the first times that a data system had been built using the voice of advisors to say, these are the data elements that matter. These are the data elements that we don't look at very often. This is what I need to know every single morning in order to help my students. And it wasn't a large, complex, commercially bought system. We're an old legacy mainframe kind of campus, so it involved taking things that used to be in ugly Excel spreadsheets and visualizing them into a Tableau dashboard. But that really gave voice to what advisors needed in order to help their students on a day-to-day basis. And we're pretty excited about that. The other element that we had some bandwidth to work on was implementing other technologies. And one of the technologies that we implemented was texting with the students in the MAAPS grant. Our initial strategy behind the texting was to be yet another way to have an outreach with students, to nudge them to come to appointments, to nudge them to remember dates and deadlines. And what actually happened with us is that we extended and created an even more robust advising relationship. Ours was a two-way texting platform. And we were very excited to find that students didn't necessarily react to the nudges any more than they did with any other nudges that we gave. But they actually used the opportunity to two-way text with their advisor to share feedback with their advisor that we had never had before. Students would text us when they got a grade in a course, good, bad, and ugly. Students would text us sometimes in the middle of an advising appointment with another advisor on campus to say, I'm confused. Can you clarify? And that kind of relationship was an extension of what the MAAPS grant allowed us to do, which is by removing the fear and confusion about what my path is, what it means to get out of this university in 4 years. Advisors could really do the kind of advising that they've been begging to do all along. I want to know how my students are doing. I want to know what's happening in their lives. When a student of ours had a death in the family, the first person they texted was their advisor to say, I don't know what to do now as it relates to my status at the university. But if we hadn't created that system and that relationship through the MAAPS grant, that student might have just walked away to handle the death in the family without knowing the supports and systems that we have in place at the university to help them. Those were things that we never expected to come out of our MAAPS grant, and we're really excited about that opportunity. Lastly, I just want to mention that through the degree plans, through the texting, what we're actually able to do is leverage some of the really positive effects that we've had from the MAAPS grant. Not only those that are statistically significant, but much of the qualitative data that our evaluators at Ithaca S&R were able to glean. Like I said, to give voice to the needs of advisors on campus, and we will be wrapping all of this into an Advising Excellence Institute at the University of Texas at Austin, taking those lessons learned from MAAPS and extending it across campus. We are large and complex, and we will doubtfully ever have centralized advising, but we can certainly share what we've learned and make it a system that works for students and not just for advisors in the university. That's our lessons learned. Thank you.